When you first get into data pack creation or command block creation or whatever, one of the first questions that you ask is, can I make the mobs beat each other up? I asked that question for long enough and finally figured out how to make that happen. Today, what I'm going to show you is a proof of concept that I made up for forcing any mob to attack any other mob that you want. There's a few different ways to do this. The easiest one is by far the Zombie Piglin. I'm just going to spawn a cow and a Zombie Piglin. Normally, those two don't care about each other, but as soon as I push this button, Zombie Piglin's immediately just going to start attacking the cow. If I went into spectator mode, there's no trickery here. You wouldn't see any invisible armor stands or potion effects. Zombie Piglin's literally just attacking the cow. So how does this work? Basically what I'm doing is taking the UUID of the cow and pasting that number into this data slot in the Zombie Piglin called AngryAt, which is normally used to identify which player is being attacked, but since UUIDs don't distinguish between players and other mobs, what I'm doing right now is just taking the cow's ID and pasting it in there, making the game think that the cow attacked the Zombie Piglin, and then the Zombie Piglin gets mad and strikes back. The second mob I want to cover is the bee. Now, this one is basically the same, except there is one added step. The thing about bees is that they have this stat called AngerTime. If it's set to 0, which it is by default, then the bee won't attack anything no matter what. So what you have to do first, in this first command block right here, is set the AngerTime to anything above 0. And I've decided to set it to some ridiculous value. I think that's 1,000,000. And then up here, you just run exactly the same command that you did for the Zombie Piglin, but for a bee instead. So I'll just show you real quick. Put down the cow and the bee. Hit the button. The bee will get angry and sting the cow. Now notice the bee only attacks once after it does that. And if I run this command again, I mean, the bee will show that it's angry, but I've had a little bit of trouble getting it to attack the same target a second time. So I don't really know what's going on with that. Bees are weird, that's the moral of the story here. Okay, so now that we've got those two out of the way, those are the two easy ones, there isn't really a similar way to do that on any of the other mobs, because Zombie Piglins and Bees are the only mobs that have this AngryAt data tag. You can't really put that in, say, a zombie. So how would I get the other mobs to start attacking cows? There is actually a way to trick the game into thinking that this husk got attacked by this cow, and it's a little bit obscure, just bear with me here. Before I explain it, I'll just go ahead and show you. You can see the husk gets hurt, and it just pushed the cow off the cliff, so I'll show you again. The cow, if I press the button, you can see the husk gets hurt. You might have been able to see like the image of an arrow flash above the husk's head for a second. So what I'm actually doing here is summoning an arrow directly above the husk, and that arrow is set to downward motion and 0 damage, so that it looks like the husk gets hurt when that happens, but he actually takes 0 damage. If I were to run a command right now to tell me how much health that husk had left, he's still at full health. And that life 1200 is kind of like a safety measure, so if the arrow misses and somehow hits the ground because like the husk is moving too fast or something, that basically ensures that the arrow will instantly despawn. So getting hit in the head with an arrow isn't necessarily enough to make the husk get mad at a cow, so there is one more step, and that is to copy the UUID of the cow, not into anything with the husk, but into the owner slot of the arrow. And what that's doing is essentially tricking the game into thinking that the cow shot the husk with an arrow. And when the husk realizes that, he gets mad at the cow and begins killing him. I'm only using husks and cows as examples. You can really do this with just about anything. Believe it or not, this actually works with armor stands. If I just put that down and tell it to attack the armor stand, it's really funny because the husk can't actually damage the armor stand. He'll just kind of sit there swiping at it forever. Okay, so he won't attack boats, that's kind of sad. One final note before I end off here, there is one mob that this doesn't work with, and that is Endermen. Because Endermen immediately dodge projectiles instinctively, so if you summon that arrow above their heads, they will just teleport out of the way, unless you provoke them by having another mob attack them first. So if I set this husk to target an Enderman, then I could get him to attack and the Enderman and the husk would fight, but unfortunately there is no way to get the Enderman to attack, say, a cow, or something that wouldn't attack it first. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So it seems like if I cause one of these zombie piglins to be angry at the husk, they all will. It becomes a mob mentality, even without the husk attacking at all. Because I thought that one piglin would attack the husk would attack back, and then the rest of them would attack. But turns out it just takes one of them being mad to make them all mad at the same time. So anyway, I think that's going to be about it. I hope you enjoyed. If you like, please leave a comment. That would be really helpful to me. I'm just kind of starting out this YouTube channel. I don't really know if it's going to go anywhere, but it would be kind of nice if it did. So if you like the video, leave some good feedback. Be greatly appreciated. Anyway, see you later.